Cody Campbell preliminary subdivision plat for the purpose of subdividing 2.89 acres into 6 proposed new lots for property located on High Tech Drive, Apple Drive, and Peach Drive. The proposed new lots would range in size from 0.46 acres to 0.51 acres, and all the proposed new lots are currently vacant. The proposed new lots are also zoned R1, low-density residential, served by an existing 12-inch water line, an existing 10-inch sewer line, existing fire hydrant, and will comply with all other requirements of the subdivision regulations and the zoning ordinance. One of the things, this is the one that was presented, or that was on the agenda last month, but didn't have any representation. We had some questions about it, and so we voted to deny the plat. Just because we didn't have any questions. It met all the requirements, but there were some questions about possible there being, some junk buried over there on the lot. And so Christian has actually done some reconnaissance work over there and some investigating. And Christian, if you would just maybe announce your findings over there, please.
So what we were worried about was, what we had heard, that there was some junk cars and stuff buried in there. So I talked with Mr. Campbell, one of our he had one of the guys working for him. We went in and dug test holes, and what we done was in the center of each lot that we were concerned about where the houses would be, we dug a hole, and I can show y'all on average every one of them is around 4 foot deep. There's no signs of any discoloration in the soil. They're all not the same. And so we determined that in that area, that the houses are going to be built, that there's been no fill, there's no junk cars in there. And so the other question was, where was the water going? And so he owns, if you see his plat, he owns the area behind him where any excess water drainage would wind up going where it actually goes now. So, I mean, in my opinion, he's good to go.
Thank you, Chris.
Christian, what was the issue before? I thought there was someone had said there was evidence of portions of junk cars.
Was years ago when we had guys bush hogging, that they could see car parts on the hillside over there. And so that was what brought my concerns up. You can't see anything right now. So that's why we wanted some tests done.
Historic speculation.
Hearsay.
Somebody thought there was.
Hearsay.
Sure.
And along with that, with the building sites, we kind of researched into building on landfills, things that are compostable, things of that nature. But what we'll do before any build on the actual, where they hearsay of what was down there, we're going to proof roll it to see if we've got any low spots, any weak spots, anything like that. We'll backfill it, and then we're also going to sheet paw it as well, compact it down before we build any sites. And then the 2 sites on Apple there, they're just going to be built on a block wall, block stem wall. There's no fill on those two lots on 5 and 6.
I know that Mr. Sales, I believe, had some concerns that he wanted to address. David, did you want to?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me ask this. Any questions for Mr. Campbell? Okay. All right, David.
I live in the subdivision up there, and I'm actually here on behalf of Mr. Burnett, whose property is to the south and east of that. And lots 5 and 6, you're going to build them as is, or you're going to fill it in?
No, we're not going to fill it in. We'll probably stem wall those up to where they'll be road level. There may be a little fill for driveways and things like that, but not like on lots 1 through 4.
What about the water?
The water is going to continue to go down, so since we're not adding any fill, it's still going to take the natural course on the back of the property there.
Not necessarily. Everywhere you build a wall there and houses at the top creates more water in the low spot.
Sure.
So is that addressed as far as a retention pond? First off, and second off, does that require a hydrological survey to determine how much water is being added to that hole? So how big of a pond do you need?
So just by those 2 lots alone, with the water that would be coming off them, I mean,
Oh,
with
oh.
the property that he owns behind there, it looks
Now, when you say behind, what are you talking about?
behind those two lots right there.
He doesn't own, Burnett owns behind those two lots.
Now, when I was over there with his builder, they were showing me the stakes that were coming out behind those two lots right there.
We're talking about these stakes right here.
Yes, sir.
So this is Burnett now.
Yes. I think that's what it
You're saying stem houses here and
is.
here.
Everything will
No field.
everything will be to the front of each lot.
Okay.
They won't come to the back. There won't be any field to where the natural water goes anyways.
Okay, so you're gonna stem fill those, so how are you gonna get to them? Just drive down through it, and when the water gets this deep in that hole, they're just gonna drive through it?
No, they'll be road level, so like I said, we may need fill for the driveway.
Do you know how much water runs into that hole?
I don't.
I don't see,
Whatever water is
if you
current,
may,
whatever.
Mr. Chairman, right there's a rough sketch of the water that runs into that hole. This is Cherry, which is on to the east. All that comes down, all these come down. There's an area drain right in here that runs over there. There's two drain pipes off a T-cap that run into there. There's a lot of water runs into that hole.
Which hole are you talking?
Give us a little more of
The
a,
hole is the field area, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it's somewhere right in something like this is
It's probably a little bit more forward, yeah,
this way?
this way, towards
This way?
High Tech, yes,
Yeah,
sir.
okay,
I think it's about a third.
okay. So the flat spot you're talking about is right in through here, and all of this back here is from the back of that slope there to the bottom, I'm gonna guess it's 8 feet. Does that sound reasonable?
Probably at least that,
Okay.
at least that.
So, once the water gets in there, it has nowhere to go. So and it's not necessarily my concern as much as it is Mr. Burnett's, and he couldn't be here and ask me, would I come up here and speak for him? So, how do we know that what he does is not going to move more water back on Mr. Burnett? That's the question. He has no problem with building houses. You know, that's not his worry, it's how much water they move up. And the last time it filled up with water, it was red. Instead of being just clear water, it was red, and I'm sure that's where, what little they done up on top, I think they pulled some dirt in there since you bought it. And that being said, I know a little bit more because when Mr. Evans owned it, he allowed us to ride our side-by-sides down there, so I've been all over that place. So I don't know if that is some type of and I guess the other thing maybe is is that a site plan showing what they're gonna fill, how much they're gonna fill? And then after that's done, would it be a site plan showing what they actually, they don't always fill where they say they're gonna fill?
So it wouldn't be a site plan involved because it's single-family residential. But one thing that we do need to make sure of is that anything over a half acre of clearance requires a stormwater ordinance
I
permit.
think we're over
And
that.
anything over an acre requires a SWIP permit from TDEC. So, I mean, that's just gonna depend on how much dirt's gonna be moved over there.
So I guess, like I say, Mr. Burnett, he wants to know, how does he know that what's done is not gonna put more water in there and move it up on him? Is there any way, what would be the solution to that?
Christian?
I mean, like this.
I mean, I'm a surveyor, but I can't go out there and tell you that if you dig
Yeah,
a pond.
the only way that you can truly know that is to, have a hydrologist look at it. I mean,
That's above my area of expertise, even though I'm a land surveyor. I can't tell you, because there's coefficient of when you put houses on the front, that water's not running in the ground, plus the driveways, I'm talking about 1, 2, 3, and 4, all that water where there's houses is going back there, because it doesn't have a chance to seep in the ground. And I don't know where it goes to. It'll be full for 2 days and all of a sudden it's gone. My guess is it's going into some type of a drain or a sinkhole down there. And that's just a guess.
And the low spots we're not disturbing or anything.
Right.
And we are building the smaller houses to help mitigate any any issues of that
What,
nature.
what size houses?
Right over, because the restrictions in that, over in heights, is that
Over
correct?
1,000
It's
feet.
1,000 square feet, we're gonna
Yes,
be
sir.
right over that. I think
Okay.
we built one on Doak that's 1,013.
Okay.
And then, so
Right.
they're gonna be a
And
small,
like I say, Mr.
a smaller
You know,
footprint.
that
Yeah.
doesn't bother me. I live in
Yeah.
subdivision, that doesn't bother me as much as, it doesn't bother me at all, but,
Sure.
the water issue is his problem.
So there's no activity planned for the depression that you're talking about where it's being ponded currently?
Everything's gonna be up towards the road. So everything's gonna naturally already slope, other than what's there now. We don't plan on filling anything where the water actually is.
And there's no identified sinkhole at this point? Just a
So
closed
build those
depression?
up.
I think there's.
And I don't know- I
I
don't
think
know that
there's
for a
something down there that water goes into, whether it's drain of some sort, sinkhole, of
There
back
are
there
actually
towards
some,
beach.
there's actually some holes.
Cause the lowest point's right about where
Right
that,
up in here.
right on Peach, yeah.
Some holes right there that, that's probably
Yeah.
farther up than the water, but if there's holes there, I believe there might be some others. So these houses, when you say, that's just walls up then, right?
Yeah, like the block and.
Okay. So the yard would be the natural ground beside it, it would just be
Yeah.
up elevated to
Yeah,
get
we're
to
not,
something
we're not
elevated.
filling in
Okay.
most of that. It's gonna be, the most fill's gonna be up to about road level, so you
Right.
can get off the road and
Right.
into the property and park and stuff like that.
As Christian says, I don't know,
I mean, depending on.
Kristen doesn't want to go out there and say you can dig a retention pond from that door to that window that wide and that'll carry the water, because then if it floods, then it
Well,
comes
I mean,
back on
you
the
have to
city.
have a hydrologist,
Right, and I don't know the answer to that, like I say, I'm just,
study on that. I mean, if that's,
Are there studies done on any other, just for single-family houses for that type of development? Is there,
Depends on how much dirt's being moved, and it depends on factors, and I mean,
Specifically how much
you've
dirt?
never had to do one because it's never been in question, like, when you did your development on East Main, the drainage wasn't a problem, but sometimes there is.
no, yeah, we had to do a whole SWIP with that one because of the area.
Dirt.
Yeah, the area that we
Yeah.
were moving and things of that nature.
I was just talking about at the local level,
Gotcha.
if it calls for it, then yeah, I mean, we've done it in the past, for sure.
I mean, so, it may be a little misleading when you go over to that property and look, but, back in that sinkhole where I saw those, where all that, where it drops off in that low area, those stakes are quite a ways back
yeah.
in the field there.
Yeah, I mean, if he's building the houses where he says he is, there's plenty of room to dig some type of a detention pond if need be.
If needed, yeah, there's,
Right. I mean,
there's always areas.
I mean, it looks, that's why I
So if he
wasn't,
moves his houses right up at the front setback,
Yes,
then back in here, there is, there'd be area to get a pond if that's what's needed.
our houses are probably gonna sit about as close to those setbacks
Right.
as possible.
And, based on what you said, I'm sure that's right, so. What's your suggestion?
so like we said, it depends on some other factors, how much stuff he's moving in.
Mhm.
I mean, that would be the main deal, of what we could do, to force, a retention pond, force a hydrologist study, so,
And like I say, he doesn't want to stop you from building
Sure.
houses, he just wants to make sure
Sure.
that,
And I
because
think-
every time it does.
And we're not doing everything all at once.
Right.
Our plan is maybe do, I think, one of the lots is actually gonna take, the T-Cat house next door.
Mhm.
And that's gonna be built on a stem wall. And then everything else will be built kind of in phases, so we can kind of see what it looks like, and if something back there, got plenty of space, if a retention pond is needed,
Right.
it's there. But it's one of those of, dividing a lot and kind of moving forward. I don't see an issue, but that's because I'm dividing.
If you know we have karst issues, it's not a detention pond, it's a retention pond at best. I mean, that's just, but Christian, you said there is a sinkhole?
We don't know.
There's
We don't know what's in there, there's
The water
somewhere.
goes.
I mean, the water will stand there for 2 or 3 days, and all of a sudden, it's not like it goes down this far one day and this far, all of a sudden, it's gone.
And so
When
you
it
got
goes out, it
7th
goes
Street.
pretty quick.
You got the holler off 7th Street coming to the backside of it too. And, so you have a lot of water that's, coming in there at once. And it's like I said, you don't never see it get up, too high before it leaks, so it's going somewhere.
I would guess knee high is as deep as Mom and Dad's been up there for 50 years, so I've been through there a lot. I'd say knee high maybe.
Limestone formation there, I mean, they're everywhere in that,
Right.
up in those hills that are.
You know, it's not like it's coming up to the road, don't get me wrong, it's not like it's coming up to the road, it's maybe in a low
Yeah.
spot, knee high maybe
Yeah.
is as deep as I've ever seen it.
Sounds like it's reflecting the water level, not the surface water ponding, but that's just me.
Well, the runoff is what fills it up, and then eventually it goes somewhere.
But it goes down with the water level, not it would pond up even higher if it was all only surface water.
I mean, it's a big flat area, so I mean, it would hold several cubic feet of water. That deep would hold several inches of rain. And I can't remember the flood we had in 2012, I can't remember, of course, you don't think about stuff like that.
Well,
That
if it drops
happens.
all of a sudden, it would be more of an effluent instead of
Right.
an influent stream. That's what I'm saying, it's more groundwater there. That's just something.
I'm confused on this now.
Well, I mean, you know, I certainly can understand the concern. I can certainly understand the concern of, you know, the adjoining property owners. To me, if it were me making the decision, I would ask for the recommendation of our Public Works Director, see what he thought was best, and then maybe go from there.
With what I've heard from David and Christian and Cody, I'm a little concerned about this right now. And I may be thinking about just denying it right now tonight till we get this straightened out. I'm not sure what really I'm hearing from David and then from Christian, that they've done all the holes out there, done all that. And Cody is building the property up above ground level. I don't know. That's my question right now. I'm really confused on what we should do on this.
The holes that they dug has nothing to do with the water. That was for something completely different. So the holes that Kristen and that they dug, it has nothing to do with the water.
What we were looking for was buried treasure, more or less, an old landfill that, you know, I was told was in there. So the test holes, you know, proved to me that he's not building on top of a landfill type site, you know. I mean, where these houses on high tech are going. Now, you know, originally, you know, the question came up about where's the water going? So, you know, when I was over there looking at it, I mean, and you need to see it in context. I mean, you know, it could possibly, and depending on what they do is what we would ask, you know, if you know, how much dirt he's moving is gonna play a big part in what our finance move will be, you know, as far as asking for detention, you know, like Tommy said, you know, I mean, it could involve TDAC in here.
And one more thing, the water already comes up onto Mr. Burnett some. You know, it's not like that, what he's gonna do is move it up on him. It already goes up on him a little bit to start with, so don't, you know, it's not to lead that y'all to believe that he doesn't have any water now. There is some that goes up on him. He just would like to not have any more.
Without a previous type study, you know, or, you know, markers or something of that nature, you know, I mean, I'm sure Mr. Burnett probably knows, you know, where the water level has risen to on his property. You know, it's hard to say is, you know, when it comes to big rain, did he add more to it? I mean, without some type of study being done. And, you know, an easy way to solve it, you know, would be to retain the water. I mean, in some shape or form.
Cody,
Yes.
did I hear from you about making a detention pond if you had to take care of the water problem?
There's definitely space for that. But you're also talking about on 20,000, each lot's right, I think the smallest one's 20,000 square feet. And we're talking about a footprint of about 1,000 square feet is the house sizes we're doing. That's approximately anywhere from there to 1,400. And the only reason I say the 14, or how big is the T-deck or the T-cap? 1,500 is going to be the largest one, and that's on the 5th one. So you're talking about around 5% taking a footprint of where water can't actually seep into the ground.
Plus the driveway.
Plus the driveway, yes, sir, you're correct on that. And so, yes, there's water that goes there naturally. Everything that's already coming on there is still going to go there. You're just taking about 5 to 8% of each lot that's not going to actually seep into that actual area. So I don't think it's going to add a whole lot. Now, do I have a degree in water and how it moves? No, I don't. I can't figure out where water comes from when storage is leaking, and it can be 10 feet down the way or 100 feet down the way. This is a very, like I said, the third of these lots right here, from about here to here is where it has always been. It's always been filled. We added a little bit of dirt here and a little bit of dirt up here, about a third of these properties. It is, since we've added that, it's filled, it's turned red like he said. It hasn't gone up higher,
No.
lower, almost up, because when it drops down, it's over 8 feet down. So even if there were to add some water, it's going to be there for a little while and go away. But yes, we're not moving a ton of dirt. We're not filling all of this, and we're not filling all this. All of a sudden, everything's being pushed by Mr. Burnett's property.
How many times a year does it flood? Have standing water?
2 or 3 maybe,
How long does it last?
I don't
2
know.
or 3, 4 days, it's not long. And I'll agree, you know, if houses and driveways are all he's put and not filling, it's probably not gonna be enough water to matter. But there again, we're not, you know, that's above my area of expertise, so I can't say.
Yeah, I agree, and I'm not in the business of just getting in, building houses and leaving. If there's an issue that comes up because we do build houses, there's plenty of space to where at that time where we see it, we can fix it and put upon it if need be. But that's just it. I mean, you can assume it's going to do this or do that, but with what I've done around town, I've seen what they do for these water things, and when you've got a large footprint like on east side that you're taking up most of the property, water concerns a large factor. But this being around 5 to 8% of each lot is not a significant amount of water for the area that we have water to go. We've got a large area, majority of the area for the water to go now.
I mean, that's what I told y'all, when I went over and looked at, what they told me they were doing and what he has, I don't see an issue with it, right? I mean, I don't think it'll be an issue, but there again, there's a large area behind there for that water to go. The water's always done what it's done there. I really don't think it would cause any more than what's already there.
And I think everybody was concerned that Cody wanted to raise that whole piece of property right there on lots 5 and 6 to build a house on, and then it would push it farther back on Mr. Burnett. But, if he's not filling in there, I mean, that's still a question of,
My thought is, what's the purpose of the houses? Are they, privately owned by individuals, or?
They'll be sold to individuals, yes, ma'am.
if I sort of believe that, I don't know what the RAM will come. I'll ask you that later. So I don't know, Christian, what do you,
I don't know that we want to, hold his feet to the fire and, we do want to make sure that, Mr. Burnett's protected, of course. Without, him spending a ton of money on hydrologists to come in and do studies.
how much would it cost to dig a pond back there?
Not much.
Couple thousand?
Obviously, this is not in the flood zone either, right?
It is not,
It is.
and that's just it. If any,
It's an X.
as a property owner
Gotcha.
in the kind of the project that we're looking at, I'm responsible for where that water goes. If I were to build something, that water goes on Mr. Burnett's and causes an issue, I've got to fix that. And yes, I am responsible for that, and we will take care of that. If something does arise, which we're just kind of spitballing here, or just what ifs. If something does come arise, which I don't think there will be, otherwise I wouldn't be doing this. I think the cars was our biggest concern more than water, but we'll handle that and take care of that, and we'll take full responsibility for that, to where if there does need, time comes where a pond needs to be dug, we can go ahead and do that.
What I'm going to ask for is a motion, what Cody has just got through saying, that he will be responsible for taking care of this water problem should it arise. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I make a motion that we pass this resolution, and when he's responsible for the retention ponds,
If needed.
if needed.
He would be anyway though, right? I mean, that's.
Yes.
He would be, but I mean, and Cody's, he's a respectable builder around here. But what you get into, just say what Cody Campbell.
Is that first one going on 5 and 6?
You know,
What do you say?
Say he builds and decides he changes his mind, then you're in a lawsuit with his neighbors,
And
But, I mean, as far as, we can, as the, where I stand, he has to take care of his water. I mean, that's, you can't put water on somebody else. I mean, that's just, it's not happening from a code standpoint. So, we could force him, to build at that time if it is causing a problem.
So I would also like to throw out something too, just by basic math. If, let's say he moves 2,000 square feet of dirt per lot, that's 12,000 square feet, that's a quarter of an acre essentially. That does not trigger our stormwater policy, nor would it trigger, SWIP, thank you, JJ. Cody, would that be a proper estimate, about 2,000 square feet of dirt moved per lot, or am I overestimating or underestimating?
That'd be probably an overestimation, because the dirt that we planned on moving has already been moved there for several months now. We're not adding anything else. It's more of the footprint of the house and it not being able to seep in there. So no, we are not moving more than 2,000 square feet of dirt.
And we don't necessarily know these are gonna happen all at the same time, it could be staged.
So how much dirt has been moved already?
I can tell you in dump truck loads.
A dump truck load?
I can tell you it's been 113 small dump truck loads from TCAT. Enough, if I had to estimate, and you've been over there too,
Yeah.
right? Maybe here? A little more?
No, I'd say it's,
Probably there?
yeah.
And then maybe about here. Is that about right?
Yeah. So it's nowhere near your threshold.
Nowhere near 20,000 square feet. But combined, David, you don't think it can get to 20,000 square
He
feet?
shouldn't if he,
Okay.
if he's only, because he really won't be moving any dirt on them 4 lots right there,
No. Yeah.
because they're done. The only one will be the driveway. Tommy or Mr. Chairman, when he says he's putting his first house on lot 5, so when Kristen sees how that lays out, then maybe he can say before he does anything else, hey, you probably need to go back there and dig a retention pond, which he says he would if he, does that sound reasonable, Kristen? Once you see how those lots or how that housing's going, does that sound reasonable to you?
Yes, sir.
Once he sees how that number 5 lot is, well, he's not really changed a lot, so, maybe there's no need of retention, or maybe a small one, if it would, if it would ease everybody's, concerns, maybe Cody would be willing to spend $1,000 to dig a little pond back there.
And I can be in talk to Dr. Burnett or Mr. Burnett about
Okay.
what he would want to maybe
Okay.
see if things change, if we start changing.
Of course, I can't speak for Mr. Burnett, but that sounds reasonable to me.
Tommy?
I mean, we're speculating on something hadn't happened, you know, I mean, this is unusual, it's an unusual situation, and then he's not gonna be, you know, pushing it to the limit, on anything that I see. I mean, I think it's fine, but if it's not, then he will have to take care of it.
Well, I just know in the past with Cody up on the East End, he done exactly what he was supposed to do up there to take care of all the water problems up there. And I feel good about him saying that he's going to take care of this too. So I think you had a question, Ricky Mack.
Can we, I mean, we made a motion for this, that, or the other, but we can only pass or fail it, right? We can't add conditions.
We can, but only with regards to, you know, we can only pass conditions that we have control over, which isn't very much. But what we can do is we can ask our building inspector to monitor, you know, the progress of the houses. And our teeth, to me, if we pass it, is the issuance of building permits. We can say, you know, if he builds house 5 and it floods and he doesn't take care of it, then I feel like we're well within our rights for Christian not to issue any more building permits.
He knows his disturbance limits to avoid swips or anything like that. So
Yes, sir.
I don't know how we can say no. Ultimately, he's going to be responsible regardless.
Absolutely. In a civil way, he is certainly responsible. I feel like that, you know, we rely on the expertise of our public works director to help us out in these instances. And if he sits there and says he doesn't see a problem, then I don't know what else we can
I
do.
don't think it will be a problem. I mean, that was my first comment, you know. Showed you the test holes, the concerns I had about the water issues. Once I went over to the property again, looked at the lot. I mean, I don't see that there's gonna be a problem. I mean, I understand Lynn's concerns. I talked with them before any of this ever got started. I gave him Cody's number to call Cody and, you know, talk about it before he got, you know, when he first bought the property. So, you know, I mean, this has been on my mind for a long time. I really do not think there's gonna be a problem. And if something does arise, I feel like Cody would definitely, you know, take care of it.
Well, I joined,
And we could deny, like I said, you know, we won't get another building permit if, you know, we see issues, you know, start happening.
well, I'm like Phil, I know Cody's a man of his word, and, I'll second the motion, whatever it was.
To approve the preliminary plat.
Okay. But you had something else in it, didn't you? Or just,
Well,
He just said-
yeah, okay. I second the motion.
Christian monitors the water drainage. Bruce made a motion.
Second, Ricky Mack. All for, let me know to say aye. Aye. Motion carried. Thank you. Thank you, Cody.
Thank you, guys.
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to request that we forego the training tonight, and we have some other business that we need to attend to. If you would, just state your name and state what you're doing with us tonight, sir.
Michael Savage on West First Street, 912, looking at splitting the lot going on Second. And there was concerns about utilities, and they don't have a lot of maps on their infrastructure. So I had Jerry Dale actually pencil it in today, and I got pictures showing the manhole cover and the water meter on Odell Savage's place also. So I can show you these.
Yeah, Mr. Savage, there wasn't concern regarding the utilities. They just need to be shown on the plat. That was it.
Yeah. Well, see-
I wasn't saying they weren't there. I was just wanting
Well,
Brian
they
to
did-
show them.
Well, see, the other day, Brian called and said, oh, there's no services. Well, they don't have a map on it. And since they're not on that street much, I actually took the pictures, photos.
Yeah, I saw them. They're good.
Yeah. And so he goes, oh, yeah, we do have them on that. There's only one house on it, so they're never on it. But I can show you the plat, I'll show you the photo. I made a big print of some of the older guys there.
Speak for yourself, everybody.
Thank you.
Okay. The manhole cover, that's straight across from the lot. And that's Odell, the 920 West Second. And the water meter, what used to be Skinner's building, it's on the same side of the street. But they didn't know for sure if they had them because they'd lost a lot of their prints through Johnny White, and you got Coffee and that's Odell's up there. Manhole cover, straight across from the lot I have.
So, Tommy, the issue is that we're looking at two structures?
Well, no, it's not an issue to me. I mean, it's just, so you can't ride on a subdivision plat. Brian's gonna have to come in and put it on there officially.
He was
but-
off last Thursday and Friday,
Yeah,
and he couldn't get over Brian.
and that's fine. Our requirements is you gotta show all infrastructure that's there. And so the northern lot did not have any infrastructure on it, and I just asked that it be put on there, and I told Mr. Savage, I was like, I'm pretty sure it's there, just, show it on the plat, and his surveyor wasn't able to get it on in time, so he went and got his,
So he called Brian, and Brian didn't out sick, so he goes, I forgot.
yeah.
I told him no, but
No issue as far as I'm concerned. I mean, it meets the requirements, both the lots 15,000 square feet, which is plenty. Water, sewer, fire protection.
I talked to you and Brian.
Yeah,
on that, so
yeah.
I didn't get it.
When Brian is able, he needs to put this on the plat. And once he does that, I have no issue with it. So I think we can approve this plat pending that the infrastructure be shown on the 4-track 2.
Basically what we did last time, pending additional information that was already.
Correct? Yes, sir.
Need a motion from someone.
I move we accept it.
Okay.
I
Second,
second it.
I almost feel like we already did that.
I think so too.
Well, it was just for,
That was just the rezoning. This is the physical division of the property.
Okay. Ricky Mack,
And Bruce?
Bruce, all for? Aye? Aye. Thank you. Aye. Anything else?
Ready to get out of here?
Before we adjourn tonight, if you are in the audience and want to address this planning commission, you have 5 minutes to come to the podium up here. If not, I'm gonna need a motion, we adjourn.
I so moved.
JJ? Second. Ricky Mack, all for? Aye? Aye. Thank you.